Welcome to the Sailor Noob podcast, where a superfan and a noob talk about the original Sailor Moon episode by episode. I'm your host, Mikan Hana, joined by my co-host.
I'm the co-host and the noob, Caliban. If a strange woman comes out of a mirror, don't trust her. That's all I gotta say.
We're a couple of magical people ready to Moon Crisis make up this episode. Today we are talking about episode number 164, Golden Crystal Shutsugen, Nehellenia no Marioku. In Japanese, the golden crystal appears, Nehellenia's magic, the English translation, and the English title, One in the Hand.
One in the hand. And the title of the next episode is not Two in the Bush. I looked it up.
Disappointing.
Cowards.
Yes.
More like Coward Way.
Oh, I like that.
What's done is done. Speaking of getting things done, we got to get right into it this week because we have a couple things to talk about before we get into this thrilling episode. I'm not being sarcastic.
Oh, okay.
I'm not being sarcastic. One of those things is we get messages from fans and listeners sometimes on Instagram, instagram.com/noob_sailor. And we got one recently, but it's about a show that happened a while ago.
Okay, sure.
I don't know if you remember during Sailor Moon S when we met Haruka and Michiru.
Sure.
Cue theme here.
Yeah.
And we talked, puzzled really dug in and tried to get to the bottom of what was up with the lemon dance.
Yeah.
There's a part where she's playing a violin, Michiru, as she's wont to do, and also she's doing like a hacky sack type routine, bumping a lemon around, and we're like,
juggling.
What is going on here?
Yeah.
Is this some kind of like Olympic competition or something like that? Or is she just looking for vitamin C? I don't know what the answer is. But we might have an answer. Listener, I'm assuming they're a listener, user, I suppose, on Instagram, Juliet is Romeo, sent us a message which says, quote, maybe I found the answer to the lemon juggling thing in this episode. After my years of knowledge about the LGBTQ community and a rushed 2-minute research through Google. Okay, starting to lose credibility. That's okay.
Okay.
I found out that I've studied this for years. Also, I looked at a piece of paper, and this is what I found out. I found out that not the juggling is a thing, but the lemon. Back in the 1980s, there was a strange 18-plus anime named Cream Lemon, which included lesbian fun time in beds. Better title. And this could be the origin of the term lemon for lesbians. It is indeed a slang term in Australia somehow, but Haruka throwing a lemon at Michiru could be a queer coding. Maybe. But now I can sleep well again.
That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you for that comment. And thank you for your painstaking research.
Yes.
I had not. I've heard of Cream Lemon. I think it's on our list for Animedification. That's not true.
It's
not true.
Oh, okay.
No, it's not. But I think I had heard about that. But that is interesting. I didn't make that connection before, and it's interesting how things sometimes are. I always get them messed up. Is it synecdoche? Or metomony. But somehow, sometimes things stand for a whole or things become representative of something more specific.
Right.
A million great examples that I'm not thinking of right now, but specifically in Japanese. The way that they name a genre of a thing or, based off of just like one little thing. So that's interesting. And then lemon would sort of stand in for like,
lesbian?
Yeah, in this case, lesbian, yeah. So, interesting. Had you heard that before?
I have not heard that before. Well, lemon in Japanese is remon.
Of course it is.
So,
No word for lemon.
No.
Did they have lemons in Japanese, in Japan before?
That's a really good question.
Okay.
I know, like, yuzu is really popular citrus fruit that is native to Japan.
Yeah.
And I think there's a couple of other citrus fruits, but I don't know if lemons were native. Maybe Okinawa? Maybe? I don't know.
Okay.
They do have some lemon snacks and like pop and stuff like that. Like there's CC Lemon, which is a really popular drink over there. And it's yellow, and they had the Simpsons were in ads for it for a while there.
Okay.
So
I can see the connection there.
yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, I think I'd heard that lemon is like a, you know how like in fanfic they've got, this is a B, C, D, G, G, F, F,
I may
F,
not
U.
know this.
There's like shorthand. There's like tags
Okay.
for like what this fiction is. If you're
Okay.
looking for, a space thing, or if you're looking for two men getting it on
Okay.
in a hot tub full of baked beans thing or something like that. There's very specific things, and like lemon is means that it's got like a graphic sexual scene in it.
Oh, okay.
I think if I'm getting that right.
Interesting.
So yeah, thanks Juliet as Romeo. Appreciate that, and thanks for reminding us of a better season
Yeah.
of the show
Man.
from long ago. Speaking of things from long ago, remember a long time ago when we began doing our Spotify segment? What did you think of this episode?
Yes.
When I told the listeners that. We're only kind of looking at the most recent episodes.
Yes.
So if you're powering through early seasons of Sailor Noob and you decide to comment what you thought of this episode, we might not see those for a while.
Yes.
Here's a comment
Oh no.
from episode 31.
Oh my
Love
gosh.
and Chased, Luna's worst day ever. It was made 3 months ago, so I apologize. It took me a long time to find this, but this is from Gay Raptor. And
Okay.
they say, y'all could do Sailor Moon drag and it would be amazing. Gender bent is equally as amazing in my opinion. And I think that is in reference to when we were talking about, I think maybe I was talking about wanting to do Sailor Moon, but not wanting to, or not knowing if I should go, I'm in a sparkly biker shorts.
Oh,
I'm
right.
gender bent Sailor Moon.
Right.
Or just go the full Ikuhara and just... And this is before I knew about Mr. Ikuhara.
That's true.
So I think at this point I would probably just do Sailor Moon.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
All right, well, I'll start sewing. Thanks for that comment. And here's another one from episode 34, The Shining Silver Crystal, The Moon Princess Appears. This is a comment by Dark Rye. Dark Rye says, this episode was so funny because when I watched it in 8th grade for the first time, I was blown away that TM was Mamoru and Usagi was the Moon Princess.
That's great.
Looking back, it was so obvious. I guess that would be, it's not, look, you make all kinds of assumptions, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, you don't know.
Another guy with black hair.
Guy's got black hair?
Another girl with odongos and, pigtails.
Right.
Yeah.
And they keep talking about a princess. Maybe it's this female Umino-looking girl.
Yeah, right.
Who's totally hot when she takes off her Coke bottle glasses.
Of course.
You don't know who it is.
No.
But yeah, it turns out, it's Usagi. It's not Sailor Venus.
No, it's not.
It's not the princess from the Diamond Kingdom.
No.
It's Usagi.
It's Usagi.
Yeah. Do you think, we've been talking about the live action show a lot recently, do you think on the live action show it is, like say you watch that, you didn't know there's a cartoon,
Sure.
you heard about it, but you're like, oh, I want to watch this show about these young girls,
Sure.
live action. Do you think it's clear? I think that I'm going to answer my own question. You answer.
I think it is clear that it's her.
Really?
Maybe it's...
Again,
You're making me doubt myself.
well, it's probably impossible to lose the knowledge that you already have. Let me get a power drill and we can, see if we can get rid of it. But but I think because of it, they go extra hard because they go for a while with basically just telling you straight out, Minako is the princess.
That's true. They do go for a while
just,
doing that.
The squad that protects the princess. We got sunglasses and we're listening to the ball game in our ear.
Yeah, right.
And we're like, that's our job. And she basically tells them that, and we go with that for a while. Later on, we learn, I guess, not spoilers, because you know the truth. You're listening to this show.
That's
but
right.
We learn that it's, part of a misdirection.
Yes.
She's kind of like posing as the princess.
Well, and it's like that in the manga too, but...
Of course it is. Of course it is.
But maybe not to the same extent, but it's there.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, but I mean, they're only doing that because it's in the manga, but also because they know people are coming in from the cartoon. And so they're trying to
That's true.
Give you a little variation.
Shake things up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when you make a remake of like a classic movie and you're like, oh, but what if it wasn't?
Let's take the complete other route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you make a modern version of Suspiria and you're like, now I know a bunch of girls get killed, but what if like the Bader Meinhof group is involved? And you're like, what? Isn't this a movie where girls just get stabbed?
Yeah, right. Oh my God.
Yeah, that was a weird movie. Didn't that guy make a movie about cannibals? But it's a love story.
Oh, is that right?
What's the deal with that guy?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Weird dude.
Yeah. Well, anyway. We all liked Call Me By Your Name until we were like, the spell was broken. And it was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is this a good idea?
Exactly.
I don't know. That's a different discussion.
That is.
Let's discuss our most recent Spotify comment from episode 163, Labyrinth of Mirrors, Chibi Moon Captured. That comment is from Fandom Casual, and Fandom Casual says, yes, the return of stickers. And all of them are deserved for enduring this season. Really interesting to hear about Nyotaimori being part of the onsen industry and its origins.
Yeah. It's wild.
Honey, can we go to Brew Tuesdays again? No, but yeah, just you get really excited to go to the onsen.
Yeah, I know,
there,
right?
You're like, where's the you don't have the
naked sushi?
No, honey, no. I mean, I'm glad they don't have it.
I was
Disgusting.
Just asking.
Yeah, I was
if they did have it.
We were gonna get the bags. We're out of here.
That's right.
If they had it,
it was a test,
which they don't.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for that comment. Remember, listeners, if you want to comment on our episodes and tell us what you thought about this episode, you can do that as a Spotify user on your cell phone or on your computer.
Well, without further ado, Cal, would you like to tell us about today's episode?
Here it is. We open on the face, the lower face specifically, of Queen Nehellenia as she laughs to herself and says, "It's getting closer." It's like a Tame Impala song. As we see a red rose begin to turn black as a hand reaches out and crushes it. And Nehellenia says, "This world is..." A lot of ellipses in this season. I don't really know why. But we cut to the face of Mamoru in his sickbed, struggling in pain, as Luna, Artemis, and Diana look on worriedly. Diana says, "Sir Mamoru!" And Luna says, "What in the world is happening to Mamoru right now?" As Artemis looks out of the window at the progressing eclipse and wonders, what in the world is this dead moon? Ah, so the cats don't know. Or so I thought, until Luna says, "That reminds me of something I heard about a long time ago."
Yes, exactly.
And as I was watching this, in my chair, I screamed, "No!" She says, "A story about a witch who was sealed inside the black new moon?" And Artemis says, "I think I've heard that story as well." Come on!
I know.
That witch was sealed away with Queen Serenity's powers. There's no way she could come into this world. If you had said any of this, we might have been ready.
I know.
We might have had the anti-spider spray or something like that. And as he says this, we see the moon continuing to eclipse the sun as a spray of rose petals flies across the moon. And the queen says, "Dream, dream, don't doubt it. A dream of dreams the dreaming children have." And we hear girlish giggles as we cut to a forest and see the Amazonesses running down a path.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Pala Pala trips and falls down, but Ves offers her a hand in getting back up, and Siri says, "You shouldn't cry." And Junjun says, "We're waiting for you." The four Amazons see a light further up the trail, and running towards it, they find a pool of water that a twinkle of light is emerging from. Within the pool is a dream mirror, submerged beneath the water. Ves reaches out and retrieves the mirror, and Siri says, "It looks rather old." The mirror flashes in Ves's hands, and all four girls draw back, but the mirror begins floating in the air and flashes as a voice emanates from it saying, "Hello, young ladies." Oh my God. Is it Val Venus?
What?
Hello, ladies.
Who's Val Venus?
Val Venus. Things better left in the 20th century. Val Venus, remember the WWF? Not the WWE.
Yeah.
The WWF, the World Wrestling Federation. It's kind of still like this, but it's gotten a little better. I don't know why. I think The Rock changed a lot of things because The Rock wasn't like a plumber or a construction worker,
Sure.
or like, I think when he first came out, he was like, I'm a Hawaiian guy because his dad and his grandfather were also Hawaiian wrestlers,
Okay, sure.
But he's just like, I'm just a guy. He's kind of like a movie star. I'm a movie star wrestler.
Sure.
Before he became a movie star and didn't wrestle anymore. But back in the day, you had to have a gimmick, and the gimmick was probably, I carry a 2x4. That's my gimmick.
Yeah.
Or like, I live in a junkyard. I'm the junkyard dog. Well, as the Attitude Era of WWF started, it got like, ooh, this is not your daddy's. It is your daddy's. It's not your little brother's wrestling. And so the gimmicks got more adult, sometimes literally in the form of Val Venus, the wrestling porn star.
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Venus! What do you want? Oh, you can't see it. Venis.
Oh, what?
Yeah, so anyway. I told you we should have left it in the 20th century.
Okay, yeah, you were right.
We see okay, so first of all of this and this scene, which at this point I'm going to assume is a flashback.
Right.
All happens before the opening credits.
Yes. It is a lot before the opening credits.
You can't have a pre-opening credit flashback.
It seems like a lot, doesn't it?
We're going to really wonder what's going on here.
Yeah.
We see the exterior of the Big Top still covered in webs, and the daylight is almost gone. It's weird to think that the last 3 episodes have been like an hour apiece in real time.
Yeah, it is weird.
If even that. Remember when they were just walking down? Oh, there's a spider in the corner of the arcade. This is the same day, right?
It seems like it is.
Or at the very least, it's just the next day. Inside, we join the Amazonesses, presumably in the present, at least picking up from last episode, still stuck in mirrors in their void space. And Siri is passing the time as she plucks the petals of a flower, and she's playing She Loves Me, Not, or He Loves Me, Not.
Sure.
But she's doing it with, we can get out of here, we can't get out of here.
Yeah.
From her mirror, Vest says, Siri's fortune telling is always a little questionable. And Siri gets to the last petal and says, we can. Hey, guys, the flower says we can get out. But June says, I don't trust that. And she holds her ball and says, through ball. And she disappears and reappears outside of her mirror. But she didn't think this through because she's, over a void, a huge drop. And
right.
She's forced to hang on tightly to her mirror. Paula, half in and half out of her mirror, says, don't worry, guys. Lady Nehellenia will let us out. And June says, yeah, but isn't she mad at us for trying to steal Pegasus? But Vess, who is like, just boobs out of the mirror, just boobs out.
Oh my God.
I don't know. She says, nah, she's not like that. She's not like that old hag Zirconia. June thinks about this, and then she thinks back, flashing back, you might say, to the mirror in the pool in the forest. Mm-hmm. Once again, the mirror says, hello, ladies. And June says, the mirror spoke. And Paula says, a magic mirror? And the mirror says, yes, I am a user of magic. I am a magic user. I've been known to magic now and again. I have woken up for the first time in a while with those happy laughs of yours, and as a reward for waking me, I'll give you all an exceptional gift. And the mirror flashes, and we see again the image of the lower half of Nehellenia's face in shadow, as the voice says, a wonderful gift, so those happy dreams of yours live forever. And we see the queen hold out her hand, and 4 balls appear. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's the origin story.
Yeah.
Of the Amazoness Quartet.
Yes.
So if you were surprised to find out that 3 people were actually a fish, a bird, and a tiger, guess what?
What?
4 girls got balls. That's it. Okay. Back in I guess.
It seems unbalanced, doesn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I guess 4 Avon ladies then became evil, and one of them used to date Saphir.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Here, it just goes to show the most epic origin story ever. My sister/lover and I come from a planet full of space elves
Yes.
who mastered the powers of the universe.
Also,
but we're a little too mean to a tree.
Yeah.
And so here we are. It's like the cover of a Yes album or something like that. And meanwhile, 4 girls are like, hey, look at this old mirror. Oh, thanks for the balls, lady. Maybe we'll get a little more information, but I doubt it. All right, back in the void, there's some interesting cross-cutting going on here. Through time, through flashbacks and other scenes. The 4 Amazons have all escaped their mirrors, and now they stand together on the back of one of the mirrors. Take that, James Cameron. They all fit.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're holding, I'll never let go. And they're holding their balls up as if in supplication.
In supplication? What does that mean?
Supplication, you don't go to church, so of course you don't know. It's like, it's petitioning in prayer. It's, being, it's asking for something.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay, sure.
So they're kind of like holding their balls up. And
Okay.
and which you made me say again. And praying to Nehellenia, basically.
Okay, sure.
Literally in the case of Pala, who says, Lady Nehellenia, I'm repenting just a bit. So hurry and get me out of here. Lady Nehellenia. In the mirror of Hall, Nehellenia turns quickly as if she heard this plea. She's talking with Zirconia on the big mirror, and she says, I will remove Pegasus from this little girl right now. This time, make sure to kill the pesky folk of the White Moon. Don't use them by casting spells on them. Their existence itself is a catastrophe. And Zirconia says, yes, and disappears from the mirror. Nehellenia beckons and says, come out. And before her, suspended by webs, is the limp form of Chibiusa.
Yeah.
Is this a school night?
Yeah, probably.
Remember that this is a child?
Yeah, this is a
Just
child.
checking. Okay.
School night.
Yeah. Nehellenia says, it's finally here. The time for light to disappear into shadows. Time for do your homework and go to bed.
Yeah.
That's night. It's called night.
Yeah, right.
Again, she beckons, come out, my Helios. And the webs disappear, but Chibi remains suspended in midair as a gust of wind fills the chamber. From below the walkway, a purple shaft of light rises up from the dark, piercing through the walkway and Chibi. And as she screams in agony and terror, her limbs are pulled down and her back arches as if Pegasus is literally being drawn from her.
Yeah.
I got a test tomorrow. A white ball of, it's just like, it's one thing. I guess she got kidnapped by aliens, UFOs that one time. This is just so personal. A white ball of light emerges from her chest, and Nehellenia says, now, as she clenches her fist, and Chibi goes limp as the ball of light remains hovering in the air. Nehellenia says, show yourself, and the ball of light resolves into Chibi's golden mirror. As the bound form of Helios is lowered down from the rafters, the queen calls, Heart of Helios, if you don't want this girl's mirror to be broken, return to your original body. Come out of the little pink goblin gets it. Chibi floats, still conscious but weak, and she says, no, don't. Helios. And tears fill her eyes. It's Italian Dunkers tomorrow.
Oh my God.
This is a school child. But the golden mirror begins to glow, and Pegasus appears within the chamber. I've played smaller rooms than this, but I have to say I don't like my dressing room much.
Oh my God.
Nehellenia says, if you don't listen to what I have to say, I will kill that girl.
Oh my God.
He says, I know. Her favorite show's on tonight. He says, go ahead, never seen her before.
Oh my God, no.
Too old.
Nehellenia says, come here, and she blasts a wave of force at Helios's prison, shattering it, and the inert form of Helios floats down to the floor. Nehellenia says, under me. And Pegasus says, that's what it said.
Oh my God, that's weird.
I don't, and Pegasus says, what, in front of the kid?
Oh my God.
We see Pegasus kind of like side eye behind him, which I guess a horse can do.
I guess.
They have 210 degrees of vision. Right?
Yeah.
As a prey animal,
Yeah.
their eyes are on the sides of their head.
On the sides of their head, yeah.
So he doesn't have
exactly.
to like turn. He kind of goes like, turns and looks behind him. But, technically he could probably just see that.
Probably, yeah.
Anyway, horse facts. He sees Chibi's golden mirror return to her body, and she drops to the floor. He begins to turn to approach her, but Nehellenia says, Helios, come here. Pegasus takes a long look at the still form of Chibi before turning and trotting towards the queen. and his pale and colorless humanoid body. Nehellenia says, "That's right," and laughs, and Pegasus has a look on his face that, for a horse, could be called hateful. May the bird of paradise fly up your nose.
Oh my god.
In a flash, she becomes a ball of golden energy that descends into the still Helios, who immediately regains his color and starts to awaken, the golden horn on his head glowing brightly, and Nehellenia laughs cruelly. We cut back to the Sailor Senshi. Remember them?
Yeah, I do.
Still lost within the big top. Sailor Mercury punches away at her computer and says, "There's a reading of Chibiusa this way." But before the Senshi can react, they hear, "So you have come this far! I will make this place your graves!" The Senshi go back to back in a defensive posture, but the lights come up and they are surrounded by candles on the floor in intricate and arcane patterns. It's the set of the Wrapped Around Your Finger video. And here comes a cocaine-crazed Sting. Look out! Zirconia appears and says, "I will turn your face to alabaster." No.
Oh my god.
No, she says, "You from the White Moon. The grudge our clan held for so long will be avenged here. Prepare yourselves." And all around the Senshi, other Zirconias begin to appear. Mercury taps at her computer and says, "Watch out, it's an illusion." Thanks. Is that hooked up to anything?
I don't
How are you
think
getting
so.
Wi-Fi in here? There's Zirconias. Zirconia?
Yeah.
I think the plural of Zirconia is Zirconia, right?
Yeah, right.
Say, "With you unable to call for Pegasus, will you be able to win against me?" And Sailor Moon thinks, "Chibiusa, stay safe." We cut to that Chibiusa, still on the floor, as Nehellenia is still laughing. She's having a great old time. Still floating in the air, Helios's eyes open, and Nehellenia says, "Finally, the time has come to exchange words. You understand that you are already mine?" But Helios says, "I thought I told you before. I will not become yours. You're like a ghost of girlfriends past." Nehellenia says, "Are you dissatisfied being the servant to someone as beautiful as I?" And as Helios turns his head to look at her, which I'd like to imagine, like, the rolling of his eyes moves his head to look at her. We see an image of the golden crystal bursting into flame, and Nehellenia recoils in horror, crying out, "Stop! Stop it!" As Helios touches down on the ground. She says, "Stop looking at me with those eyes!" Those 210 degrees of freedom eyes. Not anymore. He's a humanoid now. As behind Helios, Chibi's eyes, lots of eyes in this scene, begin to open, and she sees this confrontation. As we watch, Nehellenia's face seems to age rapidly, lines forming around her eyes. She screams, "Stop it!" and once again blasts a wave of force out, buffeting Helios and sending him flying across the room, landing next to Chibi. Chibi shakes him again and again, trying to revive him, and finally he opens his eyes and looks into Chibi's. As the two of them embrace, Nehellenia says, "I won't forgive you, either of you! I'll show you what happens when you defy me!" And her eyes flash red as a giant web drops from the ceiling and covers Chibi and Helios. The web draws tight and Chibi and Helios are pulled away from each other, but Helios grabs onto Chibi's wrist, halting their separation. Helios says, "Chibiusa." And Chibi says, "This is the first time that you called me by my name." Which is actually pretty weird now that I think about it.
It is kind of weird.
Like, what did he say before?
I
Hey,
think
you.
he's like,
Sup? You up?
did he call her small lady?
You're
or...
very mature for your age.
Oh my gosh.
Well, what did he say?
I can't remember. Did he call her like small lady or
We got to go back through it. It's too late.
Yeah.
I'm not going back through that. That case is closed. Helios smiles, but he loses his grip on Chibi's arm. Damn these opposable thumbs. It should be easier than ever to grab onto her. You don't have hooves. Yeah, he's out of practice.
Oh my god.
And the two are torn from each other and pulled away. Back in the void of mirrors, the Amazoness quartet is still awaiting salvation. Siri says, Lady Nehellenia is upset after all. And Paula begins to cry. But June says, don't cry. Vess says, let's see if it's true. See-through ball. And her ball begins to glow, showing them the Sailor Senshi on the set of the Wrapped Around Your Finger video. They're watching MTV.
Yeah.
And she's facing off against a dozen zirconias. Vest says, oh, this is the wrong channel. But June says, yeah, but this is getting pretty exciting. Let's watch Sailor Moon.
Yeah, right.
Oh, this is 4 out of 5 roses, I think. June gives it a 4 out of 5 roses. We join that battle where Jupiter is using Jupiter Oak Evolution to fire blasts that shatter the illusory zirconias, while a Venus Love and Beauty Shock and a Mars Flame Sniper do the same. But Zirconia only laughs, saying, useless, all useless, as even more zirconias appear. The zirconias raise their hands and blast the Senshi, sending them flying to the ground. They say, I'll kill all of you slowly, as Mercury continues to poke at her computer, saying, the real one has to be around here somewhere. We see her screen as the program analyzes the crowd of catfish wizards to find the real one, and it locks on to one image in particular, the only one with a flaming eyeball atop its staff.
Yeah.
You guys needed a computer for that?
I know.
I guess exactly. AI is useful. I got it, she says. The real one is you. And she points at Zirconia, who's like, oh, okay, wait. Mercury Aqua Rhapsody sends a torrent of water at the ancient sorceress, getting her wet. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, it causes the doubles and the candles to disappear, though. Damn you, says Zirconia. And watching from the void, Siri says, that's pretty good. And June says, serves that hag right. Before anybody else can get a line in, the mirror below them flips around of its own volition. The 4 Amazons fall through it and are sucked out of the void. Back at the battle against Zirconia. See, this is interesting because we're like going to another scene, but the people in that scene are watching the scene that we just left.
Yes.
So it's like, is that really cross-cutting or is that just widening the scope? Are they in that scene? If they're not there, they're kind of in that scene, right?
They are kind of in that scene.
If you're watching something through a CCTV camera, you're part of that scene.
Yeah,
even though you're not there. Back at the battle against Zirconia, Sailor Mars says, it looks like you're wrapped around our finger. Big police fan, Ray. And Jupiter says, prepare yourself. Like, we're going to kill you now, basically, right? She's saying, like, pray to Nehellenia or whatever weird circus gods you have. I don't mean to make fun of your religion, sorry. Zirconia cries out, Lady Nehellenia, please help me. And Sailor Moon says, Nehellenia? Yes, you don't know that yet?
No, they don't.
I can't keep track. This climax has been like 4 episodes long.
I know.
Next to Zirconia, the Void Mirror appears and deposits the Amazonesses into the room. The sailors are surprised, but the Amazons brandish their balls. That's something I said.
Yeah, it is.
And Vest says, I guess it's our turn now. As Pala says, Pala will do her best. June turns to Zirconia and says, leave it to us, old hag. But Zirconia smirks and says, idiots! And webs shoot out from the surrounding darkness and ensnare the Amazons, shocking them. Oh my God! What's happening?
I know.
And Ray's like, what, they're fighting each other?
This is new.
Just set them on fire, Ray. When in doubt, set everything on fire. She doesn't do that enough. The Amazons struggle in their bonds, saying, our power is being drained. And we see these webs stretch towards Zirconia, channeling the power into her as she says, oh, what lovely energy. Power is flowing into me. Pala says, I'll tell Lady Nehellenia on you. And Zirconia cries to the sky, Lady Nehellenia, I thank you. I'll make good use of this energy for your sake. For what I am about to receive, I give thanks. Or in Japanese, itadakimasu.
Yes.
From all around, we hear the voice of Nehellenia say, make sure to get rid of them with this. Understand, Zirconia? Still bound, Siri says, Lady Nehellenia? And June says, what the hell does all this mean? The voice of Nehellenia says, did you really believe that I thought all of you were cute? Your carefree powers became good energy to support the magical powers of the dead moon. Geez, you gave you guys a couple of massages and virgin daiquiris and you're putty in my hands. But I have no need of you. Watching this, Sailor Venus says, how horrible. That's right, Manako.
Yeah.
And impulsively, Sailor Moon runs forward to try... Sorry, though. You said it's horrible, but Sailor Moon did something. Guess you're not the same.
Yeah,
not today.
not today.
Sailor Moon runs forward and immediately tries to free the Amazonesses from their bonds. Vest says, "What are you doing?" But Moon says, "It's all right. I'll save you now." And she continues to pull at the webs until she too is shocked and thrown back. Zirconia says, "Is this a time for you to worry about others? You're going to die right here." And she levels her staff at the squad and fires an energy blast at the Senshi, which they barely evade. Mercury looks up from her computer and calls out, "Those balls are what's draining your energy. If we can break them, you'll be free. Let's break their balls." Vest looks down at her ball and says, "We can't break them. These Amazon stones are the crystals of our dreams. If we break these, we'll turn into adults. We won't be able to use magic anymore." But Sailor Moon rises to her feet saying, "It's all right. The truly beautiful dreams can never be taken from you, even when you become adults." The Amazons look at her like, "I don't know." And Zirconia says, "Fools! If you become an adult, you no longer need dreams." And she blasts again, hitting Sailor Moon square on, knocking her to the ground. Zirconia says, "You lose. There's nowhere to run now." But Sailor Jupiter says, "Don't worry about that. We would never run away from this." And Venus says, "There's no reason for us to escape to a world without dreams." As Sailor Moon stands back up, she says, "That's right. We're not going to run away." Back with the Amazonesses, Siri Siri is once again plucking petals from a flower, saying, "Break. Don't break. Break. Don't break. Break." Oh, what do we do? I ended on break. June says with a smile, "Siri Siri's fortune telling. So unreliable." All four Amazons nod to each other, and Vest says, "To get our real dreams back!" And all four girls dash their balls to the ground, shattering them. Zirconia is shocked as the power stops flowing to her, and June says, "Hey, old hag! Things aren't going to go as you planned." Zirconia says, "Damn you, you little wenches!" and backs out of the room before the Senshi can stop her. Vest says, "She's probably at the other end of this corridor." And June says, "'Cause that's where she sleeps."
Oh,
interesting information.
Yeah.
The Senshi are surprised at the Amazon's sacrifice, but they know that they need to quickly save Chibiusa, who is in the Mirror of Hall still, strung up on a web as Nehellenia laughs uproariously. The queen approaches the similarly bound form of Helios, saying, "Oh, holy crystal, time to come back to my hands." And she reaches for the horn atop Helios's head. As she lays a hold of it, the horn begins to glow with a blinding light, and Helios cries out in pain. And a voice begins to sing like, "Ooh."
Yes.
Like it's the lady from Star Trek? What? It's weird. Chibi screams, "Helios! Helios! No!" And light fills the room. We see a spray of feathers as a transition, or a metaphorical plucking of feathers?
I guess.
Discuss.
From his wings?
Back in Mamoru's sick room, he groans in pain. Sailor Moon is stopped short by a premonition, and the Senshi ask her what's wrong. Back in the Mirror of Hall, Helios slumps forward, his horn glinting dully, as in her hand, Nehellenia admires the golden crystal, saying, "I have finally obtained it." But behind her, Chibi cries weakly, "Helios! Don't, Helios! Open your eyes! Let's play Roblox! I got some fresh Toll House cookies! Come on, Helios!"
Oh my god.
Before her eyes, the inert form of Helios shimmers and disappears. Nehellenia says, "You of the white moon, this is nothing compared to the humiliation I have endured from all of you. You will receive my curse and go to sleep forever." Ha 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 ha! And her eyes flash redly. In the Hall of Mirror, Zirconia appears before the looking glass, her shoulders slumping in defeat. The image of Nehellenia appears in the mirror, and Zirconia says, "Lady Nehellenia, is that the golden crystal in your hand?" Nehellenia says, "Oh, Zirconia, what is your greatest happiness? What's your perfect Sunday?" Nehellenia says, I want them to bring back the Lawrence Welk show. That was great.
Oh my God.
But obviously, it's to see with my own eyes your true form, which I've only seen in mirrors. Nehellenia says, then you remember what my greatest sadness was as well, right? And Zirconia is like, what's up? Nehellenia, the golden crystal glowing in her hand, says, I no longer want to see you as an image in the mirror. I don't have to see it anymore. And the crystal begins to glow brighter. And she raises her hand, and it passes through the surface of the mirror. And Zirconia's whole body begins to glow red. As Nehellenia leans forward out of the mirror, Zirconia screams, and she explodes in a shower of red.
Yeah.
As Nehellenia exclaims gleefully, the seal is broken. What would a broken seal sound like?
I don't know.
All
I think
right.
that was pretty good.
It's just like one flipper.
Yeah.
And the mirror behind her itself breaks, sending a dark wind into the room. Nehellenia stands within the hall of mirror, laughing raucously, and she says, the world is mine, as outside the dark moon fully eclipses the sun. Into the room run the sailor Senshi, who see only a shattered mirror and the still form of Chibi Moon lying in front of it. Sailor Moon runs to her side saying, hang in there! But the big top is rocked by tremors as outside dark lightning cuts through the blackness. Across the obsidian sky, we see hundreds of other big tops begin to descend from space towards the Earth.
Okay, thank you.
To be continued.
I wasn't sure. I was like mistaking that. So there are hundreds of big tops coming down.
This is where you are the noob and I am the expert, because we saw in episode, let's say 154, the attack on Elysian of the Dead Moon Circus, where it was invaded by
multiple tents.
Multiple tents, yes. It's so tense. And my favorite part is after when the sailor Senshi run in to the hall, you see the mirror, and there's like a Looney Tune hole in the mirror. You think like you go through a mirror, it just breaks and there's glass everywhere.
Right.
Maybe some glass is in the pane still, but there's like a cutout, including like
the Dongo.
Which is like Wile E. Coyote through this mirror.
Yeah. Oh.
Pour out a glass of prune juice for old Zirconia.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I know.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Like, she got it worst of all, man.
She really did. I don't know if she deserved it.
Sometimes you fall to your death, and crushed by girders under Tokyo Tower, and then you come back.
Yeah.
Because why not?
Because why not?
With a deeper cleave. Sometimes you're a dragon and then you explode or something like that.
Sometimes you're in a car accident because your coworker messed with your brake.
Die.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. The best deaths probably aren't on an insurance adjuster's sheet somewhere.
Yes, that's true.
So, like, just going off a car, your Datsun goes off the cliff.
Yeah.
That's a sad end, but, we could have seen that coming. But what if you just go, ah! I don't know if that's good or bad.
I don't know either.
All right. Well, I mean, obviously there's a lot to talk about.
Yes.
And I suppose you're going to give us a couple in the mangas, because as we actually get into actual story and not like this week, a painter fell in a manhole.
Right,
and then
right.
Yeah. So, but we'll talk about that in a bit. I was thinking about this. We talked about this before. Pegasus is Beetlejuice.
Oh.
We talked about that?
No, we haven't talked about that.
He's a special friend.
Yeah.
Only a little girl can see him.
That's true.
And he's like, oh, I don't know about this guy.
Yeah.
Right?
You say his name 3 times, he appears out of the mirror.
Yeah, right. His mirror. In the cartoon, it's like, oh, he's just like a fun guy. But like in the movie, it's like, oh, we don't know.
He's
got creepy. Some designs here.
Yeah.
Not great.
That's true. That's so weird. Oh, I never thought about that before.
It's showtime. So anyway, that just occurred to me for some weird reason.
Pegasus dresses up as Beetlejuice for Halloween.
There you go. He's all well. I'd like to see him in stripes. Please.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. I got some random observations.
Yeah, go for it.
Ami has 3 piercings in each ear.
That is
Wow.
new with this iteration. Their power up.
Oh.
She got the 3 in one ear.
Okay.
It was just, before. I think she just had 1 in each ear.
That's a couple trips to the mall.
Yeah,
right there.
yeah, it is.
Is this her?
This is her
Does it have
kind
to
of
do with-
being edgy.
Okay, this is her being edgy.
I don't
That's
know.
Cute.
That's what I. That's
What?
my theory.
That's my theory too, I guess. But all right, that's that's a good way to rebel. Just keep taking those MCATs. So
Yeah, right.
and also like we talked about this before, but we're really in this phase where it's just the bad guys show at this point.
Yeah.
I feel like that was maybe like 1 or 2 episodes in previous seasons, but wow, we're really leaning into that now.
All the exposition and everything, and the cats, of course, remembering.
They're getting flashbacks that are cutting back to their lives, which are cutting from the villains to another scene with villains. Like it's just like the villain show.
I mean, that's a really good point. Yeah, and then I of course also got upset when the cats remembered that. Oh, there was a witch.
You just expected it.
I know.
I seem to remember something about hundreds of big tops coming down from the sky. Luna, we're looking at it right now. That's literally what we're looking at. So thanks for bringing that up. The most terrifying thing I've ever seen.
I know.
And you just brought it up now. So let's talk about the Amazons.
Let's.
The Amazonesses.
Yes.
This season is all about manipulation.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Other seasons have, had elements of that. But I think that this is really about, offering somebody something, making a deal like that, not getting what you want or feeling, like the Amazon trio were animals who somehow they were able to accept a deal to become humans. But then once they became humans, there was an insecurity about how to stay human and like, the dead moon is basically like extorting work out of them because they could be turned back into animals at any time, which they eventually did, but I guess they're happy about it, or they live in the Pegasus Forest.
They live in the Pegasus Forest, so good luck with that.
So are the Amazonesses just girls then?
I guess now they are just girls.
But were they just girls before?
They were girls with magic power before because of the stones, the gemstones.
They were given
balls.
that power.
Yes.
Right. But before that,
they were just little girls.
Did they live in the Amazon forest? Were they indigenous girls?
Possibly, yes. I think
they were actual Amazon, or were they actual Amazons, like from the Isle of Lesbos? That's not where the Amazons were from Anatolia or something like that.
Okay. I think they are from the Amazon, actually.
I think so too.
Yeah.
So that it's literal.
It isn't just for them. It is literal.
It isn't just like they're tough and they've got like muscly bare arms. You know what I mean? Like
right.
The animals were from the Amazon and these girls are from the Amazon too.
I think so.
Now, does that solve the question of the headdresses that I keep trying to bring up and you keep shooting down?
What are the headdresses?
They have the headdresses with balls on them. Now I know they're balls because the balls is like the theme of the entire like quartet, but it's sort of like headbands and like things coming down. And I keep Googling things when you're not looking, like trying to. I know I've seen something like that in some indigenous setting before.
Okay, I could see that,
but I haven't found anything though.
I have no idea, but I could totally see that. It looks like it's something that you would see out in nature.
So that jungle that they were in was the Amazon jungle?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. The fact that you're like just going along with this means that there actually isn't an answer. So it's okay for us to invent one.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was in the manga.
Oh, you don't know what it was in the manga. Interesting.
I just reread it too. Yeah.
I'm going to guess that that's what it was.
I think so.
And the listeners can tell us if we're wrong or not. So anyway, it's just about like manipulation. And it's ironic because our hero, our guest hero,
Yeah.
Pegasus,
Oh boy.
is, played straight in the story, is a total good guy.
Right.
We just need some help. We're just crashing your couch for a couple days. But like, of course, the modern reading, or just like the sane reading, is, oh my God, he's absolutely taking advantage of this young girl who cannot tell right from wrong.
Right. Exactly. It's something that I feel like I didn't really notice when I watched it as a kid.
Yeah.
But it's something that you cannot ignore it at all.
It'd be like
it
Keith Richards, like, speaking on behalf of Dare.
Oh gosh. Yeah, that would be
Stay
bad.
off drugs, boys and girls.
Did you notice that when Queen Nehellenia pushes her hand through the mirror, Zirconia's hand turns red?
Yeah, but it was on the other side.
Yeah.
So it's not like... Look. As we barrel towards some kind of end here, it's one thing for me to go, who are the Goo Girls? I don't know. They're just... If you come from another dimension to take over, Tokyo, you bring Goo Girls with you. This is what you do, right?
Yes.
So fine. I don't really care about that. But like, as we start to like close things up and they start to give us some explanations, some things are like, oh, okay, Helios is a little boy from, ancient Earth who can also dream project as a Pegasus. I can handle that, I guess.
Sure. Right.
But then they're throwing it like, who were the Amazons? Were they young Earthlings? And how did like Nehellenia get out of her prison by becoming a mirror somehow, or did she have somebody like smuggle her out, but somehow she ended up in this pool.
Yeah.
And so the Amazons, I guess, were humans who then were offered, the chance to live forever and, not have to worry about having dreams or whatever. And then like she's reaching out and her hand's coming out, but then like Zirconia's hand is on turning red or is on fire, and I'm like, is she like the past version or the future version of the I'm starting to assume all these things. Do they have some kind of connection or something like that? Her eyes are turning old. Is this a thing where is this some Kang shit?
What's Kang?
Well, Kang's about 3 to 5 with good behavior, but no, like Kang is the Marvel Comics supervillain whose time travels.
Okay.
But also, like, he runs into his younger
course.
self sometimes,
Yes.
and his younger self is sometimes a good guy, and so he's, like, fighting with himself and stuff like that. Her hand turns red. Her hand's coming out of the thing. Oh, wait, it wouldn't be the mirror image because she was facing her. It would be the hand. Oh, wait a minute. And there's Zirconia, and then Nehellenia's eyes are getting all baggy and, like... I feel like... Speaking of thresholds, I feel like I'm straining at the edge of one. I've almost got something here.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if there's only 2 episodes left, I guess I don't have to worry about it too much. I'll just watch the show. Interesting.
Yeah. So, it is very an interesting connection, I think.
Stephen, okay, you got me locked up now because you're saying something about it. You feel safe saying something about it, so it must mean nothing. But you bring it up, and then suddenly I'm like, wait a minute. So apparently somebody's going to be mad at you because apparently you're spoiling things, or at least you're giving me enough rope to spoil myself. Stop talking. Stop talking. Don't.
Okay. My lips are sealed.
Yeah. You're
just throwing away the key. That's what I'm doing right now.
This is Keith Richards loading up a crack pipe and saying, "No, really, stay off drugs."
All of you relax. This is a matter of inconvenient timing, that's all. Rebooting the podcast was inevitable. This is simply the beginning. I thought I told all of you I want broadcast silence until further...
Ooh, I'm very sorry, Cal. I didn't get that message. Maybe you should have put it on Twitter. I figured since you were relaunching the Just Enough Trope podcast, you might be a little lonely, so I decided to be your co-host.
That's very kind of you. I assume you're our mysterious podcaster. You're most troublesome for a Sailor Moon fan?
Sorry, Cal. Wrong guess. Would you like to go for an all-new show where the hosts haven't really changed?
Who are you, then?
Just a fly in the ointment, Cal. The dye in the hard. The moon and the lighting.
She's talking about the rebooted Just Enough Trope, where we'll dive deep into the pop culture elements that make up your favorite movies, TV shows, comics, and video games. See if she's lying about moonlighting and find out if Bruno has returned.
No, respect yourself.
Miss Mystery Guest, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Unless you want to sing a duet with me.
No, I'm afraid not. But you have me at a loss. You know my name, but who are you? Just another podcast host who saw too many movies as a child? Another orphan of a bankrupt culture who thinks she's John McClane, Corbin Dallas, a crooning Alcapop pitchman?
I was always kind of partial to Seagram's Golden Wine Cooler, actually. It's wet and it's dry.
Do you really think you have a chance with this new show, Ms. Co-host?
Yippee-ki-yay, Mother Cooler.
Just Enough Trope, 40 stories of sheer pop culture deconstruction. Available everywhere you listen to your favorite shows.
Do I sound like I'm ordering a podcast?
Today for Kyoro Kyoro Miro, or Curiously Looking Around, where we talk about elements of Japanese culture within the episode, we're going to be talking about Japanese psychology and psychoanalysis. So since this season is all about dreams, we wanted to talk about Japanese psychology and psychoanalysis.
Which, well, you'll tell me. But
It's Freud.
yeah, Freud initially very interested in dreams.
Yes.
Not so much later when he, began employing psychoanalysis.
Right.
But okay, interesting. So did that get imported into Japanese psychology?
Well, we'll talk about it, but there is somebody who is a Japanese
dream guy?
psychologist who, well, he, not necessarily the dream guy, but he studied under Freud specifically.
Oh, okay.
So he's kind of the closest you get to a Japanese Freud,
Huh.
I think.
Okay. I have not reached that yet. We've, of course, talk about this stuff, Freud, psychology, all the time on the Patreon show,
Right.
Bianca Neva. So didn't know about the Japanese guy.
He only studied underneath him for like about a year. So.
I was a transfer student.
Yeah, right.
Okay, cool.
Psychology in the contemporary interpretation was not analyzed in Japan until the mid-1800s. Before that time, Japanese academics were unaware of such potentiality. However, it does not mean that Japanese writing contained no elucidations of human brain, just that it was not research-based.
So it wasn't all like, oh, you got evil spirits.
Yeah, stuff like that,
They
and
just
like
weren't-
maybe like Zen like writings and that sort of thing.
Right.
But
they weren't like totally. Oh, you mean like the brain is a science? Like they just didn't have these ideas.
yes, exactly.
Okay. Well, I mean, honestly, that's kind of true of a lot of the world.
And you can think about it too,
They're
like
still talking about the humors, pretty late into the modern times.
right. And you think about it too, like they were closed off to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
So a lot of things that maybe were happening in other countries just hadn't gotten to there yet. So
Yeah.
If the history of psychoanalysis in Japan is thought of as a whole, the most important and greatest impact was when Kiyoyasu Mori returned from America to Sendai in 1919 after studying in America under Adolf Meyer. Well, that's a name you don't hear too much anymore.
Well,
But
so
this was pre-World War II.
Well, it's post World War I.
Yeah.
1919.
Yeah,
So
you're
this
right.
guy's in America. He's like, I'm going to stay here for a while. I won't be taking any trips across the Atlantic anytime soon. And while I'm doing that, I'll study with this German guy
Yeah.
in America.
Right.
History's crazy, man.
I know.
Then I'll take my Japanese ass back to Japan.
You got it.
Nothing bad's going to happen in the future here.
Yeah, I know, right?
This is weird.
Maori became the professor of psychiatry at Tohoku Imperial University. His attitude differed from his peers. He tried to establish clinical psychiatry to actual patients formulated on psychoanalysis. even while bearing the frigid critical perspectives of almost all academic psychologists and psychiatrists of Japan at the time. His academic work was carried out as an ardent, firm believer of Freudism. During this time, students at Tohoku Imperial University attended his first series of formal lectures on the theory of psychoanalysis as compulsory course. So they had to take it. When Dr. Heisaku Kosawa, who was one of Professor Mari's early followers, replaced Mari as president of the Japan branch in Sendai in 1953, Kosawa established the Japan Psychoanalytical Association in 1955, and he was the president until 1957. This association is composed of members of Japan branch of the International Psychoanalytical Association, as well as various researchers in Japanese universities. Kosawa studied directly under Freud for about a year in Austria from 1932 to 1933. He was the only Japanese person who practiced psychoanalysis faithfully to Freud. The Japan Psychoanalytic Society has remained the only psychoanalytic organization in Japan recognized by International Psychoanalytical Association, which Freud created in 1908.
Okay.
In a personal letter written in faltering and strangely romantic German, Kosawa credited Freud with seeing into the human heart as plainly as he and his fellow students had observed cells under a microscope.
Dear teacher, I'd like to say I enjoyed the dinner that we had the other night.
Exactly.
Where I could listen endlessly to your mellifluous voice. What do you mean, like, weirdly romantic?
I think he just was, like, in awe of Freud and wanted to kiss his butt. That's what I think.
May I kiss your butt? XOXO.
Oh, my gosh. In 1932, the young student borrowed money from an elder brother and left for Europe to meet Freud. He didn't receive the reception he'd hoped for. A Japanese friend had to interpret for him while he met Freud, and Freud advised Kosawa to find a local girlfriend to become more fluent in German.
And give me all the details.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Get a local girl.
That's what you gotta do. Language was not the only thing dividing the two men. As far as the philosophical and religious insinuation of psychoanalysis were concerned, Freud vigorously disagreed with both Kosawa and another major trailblazer of psychoanalysis in Asia at the time. His name was Grinder Sakar Bose from Calcutta. With only a couple of outstanding exceptions, the Freud circle treated religion as a solely psychodynamic and social phenomenon, reducible to inner forces and clashes.
So this is the, I wonder if we have the balls to say that we're atheist. But
yeah.
The continental sort of scientific, so quaint, yes, people believe these things.
Yes,
and then
exactly.
you get like two guys coming from much deeper spiritually involved countries who are like, no, I mean, it's important.
Yes.
I'm not here to try to convert you to Hinduism,
right?
Make you sit under a tree, but I do think that it is important to people's psychology that they follow this stuff. And Freud's like, whatever.
Yeah, and they both felt very strongly about it.
I don't think so.
And they thought that Freud, this is part of his narrow-mindedness, having not studied with anybody from Asia. He'd studied all the people that his subjects were patients from Europe.
Yeah.
So he didn't have really any connection to that whatsoever.
No, there's no room for that in the bohemian sort of mindset.
Yeah.
But it's fascinating that like two guys from like East Asian countries are like, you sure?
Yeah, exactly.
Master, are you sure?
Yeah, right.
A lot of people, I'm not here to make you into a samurai warrior. I'm just saying, like, a lot of people, I know how they feel, because it's like a lot of people, follow these religions. You can't just go, well, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, no,
you wouldn't
can't
do that with
that.
anything else.
Yeah, no.
Anything else in psychoanalysis. You wouldn't go, well, the sausage, it doesn't. Sometimes it's just a cigar. I don't know.
Oh, my gosh. From encyclopedia.com, quote, Kosawa visited Freud at the latter's home in Vienna, and he presented a paper written in German entitled Two Kinds of Guilt Feelings. The paper explained the theory of the Ajase complex, which he contrasted with Freud's Oedipus complex.
Huh. The who complex?
The Ajase, Ajase.
Huh.
So it's Kosawa's theory that he came up with. So
is that that must be a figure in?
It's in I think Buddhist scripture. I think.
Interesting. A mythological figure.
A mythological figure, yeah.
Okay.
But the paper illustrated a situation where a child drops a plate in front of his parents. When he seeks forgiveness from his father, he is rejected. He experiences a fear of punishment and bitterness towards his father.
That was a signed Captain Picard plate.
Yeah, right.
You're not getting any forgiveness from me.
The child seeks forgiveness from his mother, and he receives it. The mother takes the child's frightened guilt and changes it into, quote, reparative guilt, a response of unconditional forgiveness.
It's okay. We have plenty of... We have Stargate plates.
That's right.
So don't worry about it.
This latter reaction for Kosawa was a truly, quote, religious state of mind, end quote. Freud appeared unmoved, however. Quote, I have received and read your essay and will save it.
When I got your essay.
Yeah, exactly.
I did not expect.
Exactly. He wrote dispassionately, you do not seem to intend to use it immediately. So it's unclear if he thought about it really ever again. So
I should know this because of what we're doing in Beyond Good and Eva, but who invented withholding? And was it Freud?
it might have been Freud. He's pretty dang good at it.
All of his interactions with his proteges, they're like, oh, this guy's so smart. Because honestly, and like you said, we've talked about this on Beyond Good and Eva, but like you can look at, the work like Schopenhauer and people that came before Freud who were coming up with some of this stuff. But Freud really did not only come up with this stuff, but then he worked on it, and his work was, revolutionary, and he was publishing all the time, and it just came at the right time too.
Yeah.
There was this kind of like new awakening, in Europe at the time, intellectually. And so people were ready to hear it. Some people, ooh, I don't like this. And so these guys are like, oh man, this guy's a rock star. And they all wanted to like touch the rock star.
Right.
And he would let them for a while, and then he'd be like, yeah, I don't really know. And they're like, screw you. And then they go off and make their own thing,
Yes, exactly.
So maybe he knew what he was doing. He was letting the birds leave the nest. But some of the letters and some of the things that you hear him say are like, oh, that's a cold ass honky.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, man. So anyways,
this poor guy.
I know.
Cried all the way back to Japan.
Yeah, he did. After returning to Japan in 1934, Kosawa opened a private clinic in Tokyo. While helping to publish the Japanese translation of a collection of Freud's works, Kosawa himself translated into Japanese Freud's new introductory lectures on psychoanalysis and published it in 1953. Around the same time, he began doing training analysis on Japanese psychologists and psychiatrists. Mm-hmm. Kosawa was dedicated to teaching his students directly through supervisions and training analysis, and he would rather not publish papers himself. However, he is attributed for having trained some of Japan's leading psychoanalysts who were influential in promoting psychoanalysis, clinical psychology, dynamic psychiatry, and psychosomatic medicine in post-war Japan.
So he didn't really publish them. That's interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if it's... No, and I don't know if it's like...
Freud just broke him.
Freud broke him. I mean, he wrote that paper. He wrote it in German.
You're right.
He worked so hard on that.
The nice stationery.
Yeah, right. So...
That's interesting.
Yeah, I know.
I wonder, boy, yeah. Somebody knows. Because if him and all of his colleagues, that's because what they do. Remember, this is a new thing, so they're always trying to develop it, and you don't want to a patient is the first time you use this thing. So that Freud and all of his colleagues would analyze each other all the time.
Sure. Yes.
To build up these skills and get good at it, and so somebody knows.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Because I'm sure that he unpacked that to somebody.
I'm sure you're right.
And he wouldn't even put a cigar down.
You wouldn't even look at me in the eye.
Look at me in the eyes.
Before psychoanalysis came to Japan, there was the Morita therapy developed by Shoma Morita. Morita therapy was everywhere in Japan. So, like, it came out. So, Morita was born in 1874 and he died in 1938. So, this came out, like, somewhere in, like, the early 19th century. I think it was first published in 1928.
Okay.
But it was out there before that,
Yeah.
and it was very, very popular. Morita therapy was initially meant to address shinkenshitsu, an obsolete word utilized in Japan to describe patients who have various types of anxiety.
Huh.
Morita therapy was intended not to completely relieve the patient of shinkenshitsu, but to lessen the harmful effects.
Okay.
From Wikipedia, quote, Shoma Morita was a psychiatrist, researcher, philosopher, and academic department chair at GK University School of Medicine in Tokyo. Morita's trainings in Zen influenced his teachings, though Morita therapy is not a Zen practice.
Interesting.
Morita therapy seeks to have patients learn to accept shifts of thoughts and emotions and ground their conduct in reality. Cure is not defined by assuaging discomfort, but by taking action in one's own life to not be ruled by one's emotional attitude.
Okay, now I don't want to blow everybody's mind here, but that sounds like Zen.
It does.
It sounds like Zen.
It really
tenets
does.
of Zen Buddhism. So, what's the difference? Except one is a science. The other is a superstitious tradition.
Right, exactly.
Which was, Freud and the Europeans' sort of view on it. But I'm like, but people have been using religion to feel better about themselves and their world for thousands of years.
Absolutely.
So
And
I understand
Kurosawa,
wanting to
too.
make a break and not wanting to incorporate superstition into your curriculum, Freud. But like it just seems like a blind spot to just go no, different thing, different.
It does seem like a blind spot. And I should mention, too, that Kurosawa did often, the way he approached psychology and psychoanalysis was also, like, from a point of Zen and Buddhism and stuff like that. Although he didn't bring up religion within sessions.
Yeah.
But that was part of his approach. So,
Well, that's really interesting. And I think it's another example of why it's important to have a wide variety of backgrounds in researchers who are looking
Absolutely.
at something. You're not getting one point of view. You're examining it from a lot of different points of view.
yeah, no, I agree. So there are 4 stages of Morita therapy. For the first stage, the patient is ordered to stay on complete bed rest, even to take meals in bed, only rising to use the bathroom. When the patient communicates boredom, they may go to the second stage.
We're going to sweat it out of them.
That's right. The second stage is light occupational therapy. Patients are introduced to light and tedious work that is done in silence. This stage takes 3 to 7 days. Patients are instructed to go outside. Patients may wash their face in the morning and evening, journal, and read aloud from the Kojiki. No arduous physical work is permitted, such as sweeping and climbing stairs.
Huh.
So if you have a 2-bedroom or if you have stairs in your house, you can't go up the stairs.
So this is really structured.
Yes, it is. The third stage is heavy occupational therapy. Patients are permitted to engage in average physical work, but not social contact. This stage lasts from 3 to 7 days. The patient is encouraged to create art. For people with physical injuries, this is the phase where they are treating themselves through physical therapy.
Okay.
And the fourth stage is the complex activities. Patients are reintroduced into the community, and this stage can last from 1 to 2 weeks. And the patient combines meditation and physical activity.
So, yeah, wow. It's ironic because just as a German, I think Freud would really like the structure. of this.
Yeah. This is the different guy. This is Morita, but yeah, I think he would like the structure of this too.
Yeah, but I can't imagine that. I don't think Freud ever went to Japan.
I don't think so.
So, maybe he would like, I like their work ethic.
So that's just a quick glimpse at psychology and psychoanalysis in Japan. Largely focusing on Kosawa and Morita and their works and contributions.
It's weird that, and I could be totally wrong, and maybe there's just something that I don't see because I don't have the reading or the background, but I don't feel like people tend to think of the Japanese as vanguards of the mental health sphere.
No,
and I'm not
don't.
saying that they're not. I'm being open to the ignorance, but when you think about the work done by Swiss and German people and French and English and American people in psychology, you think about them being the people who developed the systems that we either use or led to the development of better more effective systems.
Yeah, for sure.
And so even though they were training and the borders were open, it doesn't mean that Japan was like integrated into the sort of world community.
Right.
But to have these guys plugging away and doing their best to build something and to rectify what we said before wasn't completely absent, but was probably kind of backwards compared to the more complex ideas being seen in Europe. I think, they're heroes for that.
Yeah, for sure.
They didn't like do anything bad, did they?
Not that I know of.
And then, and then by phase 4, if you didn't make it, then they, put you in a dunk tank. And,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, something like that. But
yeah, they, I think it is interesting because you don't think of Japan in modern day as being the best place to get mental health help.
Yeah.
And I know that's like they do have therapists and psychologists, of course, in Japan, and people do go to them, but it's not widely accepted.
Where's that scene in the movie?
I know, right?
In a Western, in an American movie, a guy goes into the office and he's sitting on the couch and he's like, "Doc, I don't know. People don't respect me." It's like we immediately were like, "Oh, I understand this scene. This is a trope."
Yeah, right.
But do you see that in Japanese movies?
I don't think you really do a whole lot.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I'm watching a
and I think, sorry, just to finish the
okay.
thought. And I saw this video the other day by a YouTuber about how Japan deals with serial killer stories.
Oh.
And the differences between like the West.
Interesting.
And I didn't watch the whole video.
Okay.
I like the premise. I was busy. I couldn't finish the video. But the more my take on it is that they do that, but they're really kind of borrowing or aping Western media. There might be a very specific way, and certainly things like, the works of Takashi Miike as a filmmaker,
Sure,
or your Suicide Clubs or your Ichi the Killers, or even like something like Kurosawa and Cure.
sure.
They have a take on it, but their take seems to be like their own personal take on the Western, we got to get this guy, serial killer type thing. We saw that movie, it was a Korean movie. So we're a little off track here. The Cop, the Gangster, and the Devil. And it was like the killer in that didn't really have an understandable motivation. He just wanted to be the best killer and he hated women or something like that. And it's like, okay, that's just a bad guy.
Yeah,
we're not trying to really like analyze this guy. But I wonder if there was like a Japanese 7, what would it look like? Oh, it's called Cure. We already saw it. But
right.
But
so
like,
there was the room that was a 7 serial killer room.
Yeah, right. He had his, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think it's like, okay, yeah, they're coming at it in a different way.
Yeah.
But it's exciting because I feel like they potentially can be free of the baggage, I think, that we put on people who are suffering from mental health problems, or like, oh, we got to get this serial killer, he can't be stopped. he's a dragon man.
Oh my God.
Or whatever. Like we like aggrandize, these fantasies of these, like
the serial killers.
Hannibal season 3, he's making a violin.
Oh God.
Man or something.
I know.
It's always crazy. Like they have it over there too, but I don't know.
But it just seems like it's more in your face here, doesn't it?
I guess.
I was going to say, also speaking of Korea, there's a drama that I'm watching right now, and there's the main character in that. She has a psychiatrist that she goes and she sees, but she doesn't like going there. And she gives her pills, and basically if something gets really stressful, she goes, ah, and she grabs her purse and she opens up the pill bottle and she takes out a couple and she just chugs them down. And and like that's about what we get. And so it's just a trope of give me those pills, and that sort of thing. And like it doesn't really get better than that. And so it's a little frustrating watching it.
Speaking of the Korean movies, most of my Korean movie watching experience is Park Chan-wook movies. And everybody's crazy in those movies.
That's true.
And nobody is taking medication, and nobody's going to a therapist. And I feel like sometimes you get a character in a Western movie who's just like, this guy's nuts, right?
Yeah.
But usually it's like somebody who is... They're either like just a nutty serial killer. There's no real underpinning to the psychology. They just love to kill. Or you have characters who are maybe struggling with something, and that's also the enemy they're fighting against. So there might be a bad guy, but they're also fighting against their anxiety, or they're fighting against something specific. And overcoming that is part of, getting to the end of the movie and winning and being in a better place.
Yeah, for sure.
We have a long tradition of the tortured hero who's either a noir type hero or is just like the Riggs of the Lethal Weapon, right? Where he's like he's suicidal, he's a suicidal cop, he wants to die,
right?
But like him winning and winning at the job, but also making a friend is like, oh, he feels better about himself,
right?
And as the series goes on, it's like, well, now I don't think about my wife dying so much anymore,
right?
You know what I mean? And so you get that. Whereas like in Japanese movies or Korean movies in this case, there's a character who is just losing their mind.
Yes.
And there is no one to talk to.
Right.
And there's nothing to do.
Right.
And you're going to get sympathy for Mr. Vengeance. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
or like
right.
you're just going to go totally nuts on it.
Yeah.
And there isn't ever any like talk about, oh, you just talk to somebody.
Right.
Whether they do or not.
That's absolutely right.
So I wonder if that represents like, I'd love to see the numbers on people in therapy, versus, East versus West, like, the amount of people that are in therapy, whether or not it's effective, seeing that as an option.
Yeah, I would like to see that too.
Yeah.
I think that's really interesting.
Get rid of some of these the killers.
Yeah, right.
Shut down this suicide club. What's going on?
Let's shut it down.
Because there was a ghost or something that's behind it, though.
A ghost?
Well, what are you going to do when there's a ghost?
Nothing.
Can't put a ghost on a couch?
Unless you...
Tell me about your mother. That was in the 1700s.
Like
ghost falls through the couch.
Yeah.
Can't sit on a couch.
No, you can't.
Can't help this guy. I'm sorry, I can't help this guy.
Itadakimasu with Usagi. What did Usagi eat in this episode? There is no food in this episode.
Somebody eat something.
Well,
maybe some people, they were eating
Zirconia
souls.
ate it.
Yeah, she ate it hard. Yeah.
Yeah. So there, we'll go with that. Villain gauge, where we rate a baddie 1 to 5 dark stars, 5 being the most wicked. So this is the slight spoiler. This is the last episode with Zirconia and Zircon. So I thought we should rate them both.
Oh, okay, great.
Yeah.
All right.
So Zirconia is ever present, but I don't feel like we've gotten a really great taste of who she is until these last 2 episodes. Because she's just been angry and yelling at her minions. She's eternally crabby and has to deal with a lot of schmucks who aren't getting the job done. She worships Nehellenia. I like that we got to see her power with her fights with the Senshi and an entire Yankee candle store. But seriously, it was cool to see her mess with our girls through the reflections and make them almost give up on their dreams. So I'm going to give her 3 out of 5 dark stars. I wish that they had showed us how powerful she was like sooner. I think it's just like holding back the thunder, you know?
It's true. I've feel like I've had a soft spot for her that's only getting larger. I should definitely see a doctor. And I'm going to give her a 4 out of 5 dark stars because I like her and I can sympathize with her. The idea of usually it's like, because remember, she had to deal with the trio and the quartet, you know? And so the idea of the boss that's like, they're the rogue cops, you know, and the boss is like, Amazon trio, you wrecked 20 cars. You're a loose cannon.
Yeah, right.
And like getting to actually spend a little more time with that character or seeing how they're not just a character that's supposed to yell at the other guys. It's like, they're trying to get a job done here. And then we learn that she's got a boss and it's like, oh, she's under pressure.
Right.
You know, sympathy for the middle manager. Only here in fiction can we have that, right?
Yeah, really.
And so, yeah, I like that. And then it turns out she's a little more powerful than you thought. And I got this little headcanon for her that there's nothing in the show that proves me wrong. I like the idea of her, you know, having been maybe the Amazon 1 someday, you know, maybe the original, you know, Amazon who's now moved up into management and of course has to deal with people who were probably like she was when she was younger. And so, yeah, you know, fun, interesting design.
She does have an interesting design.
Yeah.
Catfish
Haven't
lady.
seen something like this in the show before. This Dragon Ball-esque character.
I
She
don't
walked out of a
think so.
Toriyama show.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm bullish. 4.
Okay.
4.
Awesome. For Zircon, he's a flying flaming eyeball. What do you want? He's got style. Sometimes he has a sweat drop on his eyeball somehow. I really don't know how. He takes photos of potential victims and he's Zirconia's lackey. 4 out of 5 dark stars. I call him like I see him. I'm a fan of Zircon.
Me too. And I'm also going to give a 4. The thing about Zircon and Zirconia is that, like you said, there's just too much stuff going on. We don't learn enough about them. How much should we really learn about them, I guess?
Fair.
And how many times are they just kind of doing the same thing over again? Go find this target, find the mirror.
Right.
I've said that 50 times now. So it's not their fault. And if we had gotten more, I think, as you said, maybe we would have liked them even more. But that being said, I like them the way they are, for what they are. And I also like the idea of the henchman that's like, I'm just perving and taking pictures. I'm just doing my best.
Yeah, right.
You're going to salt grill me? What's going on here? Come on, man. But yeah, a little more personality might have been kind of fun. Like, what's the secret of Zircon? Like, what is he? Where does he come from?
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I mean, like, you know, gone too soon? Gone probably at the exact right time. Right?
Yeah.
Here near the end. Sometimes there's a thing with like Dr. Giggles, like who you know nothing about and does the same thing like 25 times. And then you're like, oh, also he's a single dad and he was possessed by a plant monster. And you're like, whoa, this adds retroactively so much more depth.
Yeah,
and
I
like
know.
brings the character, oh, it's effervescent now. And never really got that with Zirconia and Zircon, except for my headcanon does that for them. So in my mind, yeah, a 4 for both of them.
Awesome. So now we're up to our rating. I like that we see how Nehellenia first recruited the Amazon-esque quartet. I like that Mercury finds the real Zirconia with her RoboCop computer. But I also like how the real Zirconia is the only one with Zircon on top of her staff, which you talked about.
Right.
I like that the Amazon-esque quartet are conflicted about destroying the Amazon stones because they are the crystallization of their dreams. And if they break them, they will become adults and won't be able to use magic. I like how Venus says living in a world without dreams would be meaningless. And I love that the Senshi are resolute on not giving up. I thought this was still a pretty decent episode. But I didn't like it as much as last week's, so I'm going to give it 3 out of 5 roses.
Yeah. weirdly, I'm still sort of bullish on the ending of the show here. I'm going to give it 4. It wasn't a 5. And again, I would love to just watch. This is like, how do you rate Abbey Road? Well, like half the album's a medley. So I guess you just like Here Comes the Sun more than She Came Into the Bathroom Window. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you're crazy. But, and so it's hard to give these individual grades if they should all be looked at together. But I will say that this chapter in the closing of this season is a strong one. And there are some big revelations. But I don't know. I think ironically, I liked the exposition of the last episode more, I guess.
Yeah, I did too.
And now we just get like the middle chapter, like, well, I'm just going to torture you now. And so
right?
A lot of screaming in this episode, and a lot of people being violently, violated or just electrocuted. So, and that's, it's a cartoon. It's fine, but it wasn't as enjoyable, I don't think. Although I think I gave the last one 4.
I think you gave it a 5.
Oh, I did give it 5. Okay, so there you go. They're all written in pencil. They're all provisional because it's like, if there's nothing behind this, then I'm mad and it should be worth less. If this is just a maintenance, a maintaining until we get what we want to know, then it's a good solid part of that bridge.
Sure.
And so like, you better tell me more about the Amazons. You better. I feel like I think that they know they're making this point, but like I said, the season is about manipulation, and people trying to control other people. And I hope that comes home in some way, in the way that last season was about, characters feeling tarnished and not good enough,
right.
and finding new beginnings or finding strength to continue in their circumstances. And so I think that's what they're doing. I hope that's what they're doing. Although they had a big thing here where the whole motivation of not wanting to break the balls is that, we are scared of losing our dreams and growing up.
Yes.
And I guess if you were raised by a catfish wizard and a lady in a mirror and not told, like the girls who are on our squad, that you can hold on to those dreams, and you never have to give them up, then maybe that affects you.
Right.
But have the girls just go, you can have dreams. And they're like, oh, okay, great. Break the balls. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not seeing the effects of, as much as you did with like the Amazon trio, who, once you learn that there are literal animals who gained human lives, and then they were terrified that they would lose those lives.
Right.
And also thinking about what pronouns they've got and how they express themselves,
right.
Wondering if they're the humans that they should be.
Right.
That's clearly not intended, but that's a fascinating modern read on it.
It is.
These girls are like, yeah, I think they're going to be okay. They got some acrobatic skills.
Yeah, right.
They love arcades. Maybe work in an arcade.
Maybe working in an arcade would be good.
Yeah, I'm sure they'll be fine.
Yeah.
You don't need magic. But all those things are all questions to be or not to be answered in the next couple episodes. So check back with me in the future.
Okay, will do.
4 roses.
My English title is Crystal Power Raining Shower.
What?
Because you're...
Oh, it's cold. Oh. Or the shower of giant big tops coming into Tokyo.
That's what I meant.
At the end of the episode.
Yes.
Well, that's fitting because mine has something to do with that as well. I usually try to do original puns, if puns are original, as my titles, but I don't have a pun for this. I've just got an homage. My title is Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
That took a long time.
Yeah. Huh. Didn't have that before.
Well, I mean, it's explicit.
Yeah.
At this point.
It is.
So I wasn't saving it, but I could have been saving it for this episode. Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yeah. That's a good one. Next week is another episode of Shore Leave, so we hope that you will join us on our live stream as we talk about subjects that are related to Japan.
I usually say I literally can't wait to talk about my Shore Leave subject.
Yes.
But this month, it's a new year. We've been busy, and really, I really can't wait to talk about it. I got you.
Oh
the
my
reversal.
God, you
I'm
did.
so thrilled to talk about my subject on our show next week. I swear to God, I'm going to use publicly available clips, and I won't get the show nuked by the copyright bots. But yeah, got a lot to share. Looking forward to it. Next time, sure leave.
Well, that's our show for this week, and the Name of the Moon will be punishing you next week with another episode of Sailor Noob.
It's showtime.